Hello, everybody, and welcome to View to an All-Star. And today's special guest is Shelby Sapusek, who is the co-founder, CCO, and consultant with ColorCasters. And Shelby, welcome to the show. And wow, that sounds like a lot of responsibility.
Thanks, Mark. I don't get a company car with that, but you got to do what you got.
That's great. Shelby, thank you for being here. Of course, you are also one of the original Printing United All-Stars, and
I am.
that's the premise of the show today. But I have a feeling that a lot of my audience, whoever those folks might be, may not be familiar with ColorCasters or your work, and you have quite an extensive and impressive background. And so, if you wouldn't mind, maybe introduce ColorCasters a little bit, and maybe a little bit of, what brought you to that point and how you got there.
Sure. So ColorCasters itself is a color management consulting and training company, and I want to stress the and training part. One of the reasons that we developed ColorCasters almost 10 years ago, next year will be its 10-year anniversary, is we recognized that there was a need in the industry for more education, and we thought, we can do this. So we revamped what was a software technology company and decided we're going to go out more face to face and get into these facilities and not just profile printers for better color quality and color consistency, but actually teach the people who are doing the work on the printers to learn how to maintain and get good color predictably, job to job, printer to printer, so that they're not wasting time and materials and so on and so forth, because time is money and so is all the materials. We've invested a lot. My business partner, Jim Raffle, and I have invested a lot in our personal education. So we've gotten certified on a lot of printer rip software and things like of that nature. And we are also instructors for the iLearning Plus online platform for Printing United Alliance. My business partner is a G7 Plus expert trainer, which is the highest level of color management is there. I myself am a G7 Plus expert. So we travel around the United States mostly. We do a little bit of work in Canada and some remote work in Mexico, but mostly the domestic US states. And we go into facilities, we're on the road all the time, and we're working with people. And if they are willing to learn along with us, we are happy to show them so that when we leave, they're not high and dry in 6 months when their printer drifts and they're not sure what to do. So that's
Yeah.
ColorCasters in a nutshell.
Wow. And that's so obviously such an important and core functionality of the print industry is color and color predictability and knowledge of what impacts good color, correct color, wrong color, and things like that. And you're right down the middle of that. In all my many years in the print industry, I've always found that color management, color theory, and color production is something that's both scientific and arbitrary, at least in the minds of the users and the buyers and sometimes even the production people. And so how do you deal with all of that? That's got to be a challenging
Uh,
thing to have to work out with various clients.
So there's a methodology that we follow, just based out of experience, and Printing United Alliance actually teaches it. But a lot of it is working with all the different variables. Color management is about variables and being able to troubleshoot those variables. If you think about it, if the combinations that are possible, I wouldn't even know. The different printers, the different substrates, the different ink sets, the different printing processes. We have hybrid machines now. You can print on more than just paper, that's for sure. All of these things come into play. And over time and with experience, I keep really good notes. I have a journalism
Mhm.
background, so I am a physical note taker. I have so many notebooks in my office. It's crazy. I fill them up and keep them. And but this way I have reference. So I'll be like, you know what? I've worked on this, I don't know, HP latex machine before. What did I do then? What was the substrate then? And how did I solve that problem? And sometimes I remember, or other times I have to look at my notes. And so it's experience and over time. But I know things. I know how, vinyl behaves with UV printing and that kind of thing. You learn by doing.
Yeah. So in this particular case, AI for you is accumulated intelligence,
Yeah.
not
I like that.
not artificial. And yeah, it's clearly one of the most detailed and aspects of the print industry, and also one of the least understood, including by people who are veterans, particularly on the print side. That of course printers think they know the entire process. In many cases, they really don't understand what it takes to deliver the proper color to the print.
I often say when we go into a facility and we kind of do an audit, we're looking at, what are the problems and what kind of different printing processes you have, and we make a list of everything and figure things out. And what we come across a lot is people don't know what they don't know. And
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
like to think that we come in and help them fill in the knowledge gaps. It's not that they don't know anything about color or
Right.
printing. It's not that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. It's just that they maybe don't know some of the nuances, or they have this really comprehensive rip technology for their printer and they are not even aware of a feature that it's capable of doing, and we show them something and they're like, wow, I didn't know that you could do that. And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
light bulbs go off, and I could open up a whole new section of business. And we have other people come to us and say, hey, you know what, when you came in and profiled our printers, we're saving like 70% of ink from month to month or whatever, and our expenses are way down, and we're not having to repeat jobs. And let's face it, time is money. So,
Yeah. And you raised an interesting point just to let me think about. I'm curious on your perspective. You talk about the print vendors themselves, who, of course, I was on the print equipment vendor side for a
mhm.
good portion of my career. And as a company, at least, everybody always thinks they have the best training and they have the most knowledge. Well, obviously, that's not necessarily the case. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a need for your company's business and things like that. Do you work with vendors? Are they friendly to you? Are you a replacement for them? Or are you like aftermarket type of training? How does ColorCasters fit into that whole model?
I would say it varies from place to place. Sometimes the higher ups recognize the need, and we come in and we're not exactly welcomed with open arms because they
Mm,
know we're going to come in and change things. And people by nature are adverse to change. And I will come in and say, so why do you do it this way? And like, well, that's the way the person behind before me for 10 years did it. And so we just keep on doing it this way. And I was like, did you know that if you click this button and did this, that you could get a whole bunch more color quality because you'd open up your color profile on your printer? No, no. Okay, well, what do you think about trying it? And so it's having those conversations. And then other times people are like, please come in and help us. We want to learn. Sometimes they'll bring us in a day early just so that we can hold a 8-hour workshop on color and basic color theory and why color management is necessary. And yeah, and those situations are really cool too because it's not just telling people what they don't know. It's people yearning for the knowledge, and those are fun. So that's why I always stress that we are consulting and training. If people want to learn, and we're happy to just come in and do the work too. If that's all you want from us, we'll come in and do it, and we'll leave you some paperwork behind and tell you how I did it. And your printer drifts 4 months from now and you don't know what to do, you may have to call us back in. Or we're happy to have you shadow us and we will teach you as we go along. We don't have any like secret sauce or anything like that we're not going to share with you. We're going to explain why we're doing things. I think I was telling you before we started recording, I was at a place last week and we were kind of doing an audit and I left them a 16-page report, which I hope will turn into an SOP for them.
yeah. Yeah, let's hope so, right? I mean, certainly it's an opportunity for them to do something, I'm sure, with that. One other thing, one other question I have to ask, as you kind of prompted, it talked about G7, and you're a G7 plus expert, and
And
you have trainers for that as well too. There's a lot of, in my experience, there was always a lot of misconceptions about what G7 really is. So if you think that's the case, I'll give you an opportunity here. What are some of the biggest misconceptions, and then what is really the value of G7 from your perspective, Shelby?
I think, and I don't want to give everything away here, because it's a very, first of all, it's a very intensive. If you take it in person, it's 3 solid days. If you take it online, it's 20 hours over 4 hours a day over a week online. It's intensive training. There's demonstrations, and I think I don't think I could put it into 2 sentences for you. I think G7 is that higher level of color management training that really gets down into the gray balance of a printer. Um, when we as human beings see colors differently, you and I, if I said grass green to you or blue sky, we have different perceptions of what that is
Right.
because of where we grew up or whatever our memory, color memory is. So that's not an effective way to talk about color. And we see color different too. As, men and women see yellow differently, for instance. It's just scientific fact. Um, what we do have in common is that we can see neutral gray about the same. We can usually agree on what neutral gray is. So if we can get a printer profiled into a neutral gray balance, all the other colors tend to fall into place. And G7 uh, takes a deep dive into why that's important and how it's done. It's a lot of math and a lot of science, more than I could ever put into a podcast and
Right.
can't put into a podcast.
Yeah, totally understood. I was curious if do you see a very high value in G7? Is it something that most people or everybody should do? And is there a trend in that direction, or how do you see
Enough
it
so
unfolding?
that the day before Printing United Expo, they are having the second annual G7 Plus exchange for, I think it's maybe 4 hours the afternoon beforehand. I'm speaking. We had one last year, and it was very well attended. It sold out, I believe. So hundreds of people. And I don't know how many people are attending this year. I don't know the numbers, but I expect it to sell out again. The G7 Plus, it was G7 and now it's G7 Plus. The expert G7 Plus expert community is definitely growing. If you get on Printing United's Alliance's website and you wanted to find a G7 expert to get you or your facility, as in one of your machines or more of your machines, G7 Plus qualified or certified, you could easily search for a G7 Plus expert who I don't know, specializes in a certain kind of machine or a certain kind of printing process, or maybe someone who's just close by geographically.
Yeah.
There's plenty that you can find. And if you really want to see how big the community is, go and search for G7 Plus experts on the Printing United Alliance website.
I think that's great advice because it sounds like it's clearly a lot more extensive and available than people might realize and within reach for them. And so that's good news. So kind of on the similar note there, you're out there on the front lines. I mean, truly, right? You're out there where production is being done, training with production people and so on. We were talking before the show, different types of applications and equipment and things like that. What are the things that you are seeing this year that's either a surprise to you or different or new or oh, finally now or what what kind of impact do you see on things that are happening in 2026 for you and for ColorCasters?
That's kind of a hard question. It's interesting to me, and I think it's hard for me just to say 2026, but I would say in the last 2 to 3 years,
Yeah,
I've
that's fine.
seen a growth for color management knowledge at the really high, we have a whole bunch of facilities level, like, we're talking many, many, many printers in many, many locations, all the way down to the DIY crafters who maybe have one or two machines in their garage. Um, and so it's really interesting to see the thirst for color knowledge be on this crazy number high end and then this really small low end too. I
Yeah.
mean, and it's a different approach in a way, because Um, when you have two printers that you're trying to dial in together, it's a lot different than trying to dial in 20 or more when the 20 or more are in different locations. I mean, it just is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Is any of that surprising to you, or do you feel like in other words, there's been some type of a change or an awakening, or is this just a natural progression that's been happening with the advancement of digital over the last, let's say, 10,
I
15 years?
think vendors and manufacturers, because we have some partnerships out there. I think when they are selling their machines, they are stressing to their clients, their customers, that they're going to need some extra color management help, or they may find themselves in a bind. Every printer, has its own profile, and there's canned profiles that they are supplied with, default profiles, if you will. But they're not always, you're not can always just take the printer out of the box and it just works fine for everything that you're going to do. And so I think our virtual business cards, if you will, our names are getting dropped when these sales are made. And so in that way, it's not surprising because I know those things are happening. I always ask people when we get phone calls and emails, how did you hear of us? And sometimes they just Google us and found us, but a lot of times they're like, oh, it was so and so from so and so, and they told us that you're the people to talk to, and here's the machine I have, and here's what I do, and here's what I'm having problems with, and we just go from there.
Yeah. Well, and certainly a direct referral is always the best way. So
Hmm.
that's great to hear that you're getting those, of course. And I was going to ask you later on in the show, but while you're on the topic, how can people find color if they want to find you just in general, what are some of the best ways to locate you?
Well, ColorCasters itself is colorcasters.com. We have an account on X, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I run all of those because I'm the CCO.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for me specifically, I am the only Shelby Sapusek in existence. If you can spell my last name, it's pretty easy to find me. And I try to answer within 24 hours.
Oh, that's great, Shelby. That's great. So last area I just wanted to touch on. Is about being an all-star for Printing United Expo, and
Hmm.
you're even connected with the Printing United Alliance, being
Yeah.
G7 authorized, and what you do, and I'm sure you're connected to their learning uh, capabilities academy, et cetera, like that. What has an all-star meant for you, for your business? Does your client base, do they know about Printing United? Do they know about the Alliance? Do they know about the Expo? And you
I
being
would
an
say
all-star, and how's all that kind of fit
I would
together for
say
you?
most of them know about Printing United Alliance as an organization. And most of them know that there is that should not be happening. Trying to turn that off, sorry. Um, Most of them know that there is a big expo in the fall each year. Some of them don't attend, and some of them do, and some of them ask me should they attend and why. Um, as far as being an all-star, the all-stars are new, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when I was an all-star last year and I was telling people that, I marketed it. I mean, we had things about it and we had our own podcast about it. And like, well, what's an all-star? And I told people that, we're advocates for Pretty United Alliance at the expo. We're advocates for the show, we're partners for the show. We're just trying to um, I guess, market or promote the show as well as we can in our different capacities because our group is large and very diverse. And I think that's going to be true again this year, even though I know some of us are returning, but not, I think we're going to have some new people too, which is great. I always like getting some new blood in there. Um, but yeah, I think being an all-star for me is I've been going to this show for well, maybe 15 years, something like that, back when it was SGIA. And so being in a position to work so closely with so many different people and see different sides of the show because of that opportunity to work with yourself and all our other team members. I think that's special and unique. And I think it's going to be really cool this year that they took some of our advice and we're going to have our own booth. And so there's
Yep.
going to be, I think the All Stars will be more recognizable this year because now we're going to be like, if you don't know who we are, come find us at the booth. We're not just gonna, I know we had the jerseys and everything, but still, it's a big show. It's hard to find people. I bet you there are a whole bunch of people who were interested in what the All-Stars were and never saw an
Right.
All-Star just because of the
Right.
nature of how big that show is. But
Right.
now that there's going to be a home base where at least a few of us will be at all times, I think I think the knowledge of what the All-Star team is going to be way out there. I think it's going
Oh
to be cool.
yeah. I couldn't agree more 100%. And you mentioned earlier that there's going to be a G7 related event the day before
Yes.
the show. That's one place people can find you is and they'll be able to find you at the All-Star booth. Is there anything else you're doing or planning to do this
Yes,
year?
I'm doing a talk with my business partner uh, the first day of the show at 4 p.m. in the in hall. I don't remember the room number on DTF printing,
Ooh, big topic.
the principles of DTF.
Ah, okay. Yeah, yeah, got you. That's
So,
a huge
so yeah,
topic, very timely for sure. I'm sure there's a lot of interest in that.
and of course, I'll be in the All-Star booth from time to time. I'm hoping to take more part in the education as far as the student day. I had to leave early the last day of the show last year, but this time I'm staying till the end. So I'm hoping to help out with some of the student tours because that's near and dear to my heart with the whole education piece. So yeah, I'm coming in early. I'm speaking at the G7 Plus event the day before the show opens, then speaking the day of. That's what I know so far.
Yeah, well, that's great. Sounds like you're going to have a busy show, and I look forward to seeing you there, Shelby.
I look forward
So,
to seeing you again too, Mark.
so Shelby, thank you so much. I'm seriously very impressed. I know as being in the print industry for a long time, color management, color theory, G7 has always been the kind of scary part of the business to me. And the people who know about it, I hold in the highest esteem. They're usually some of the smartest people around. And so I include you in that and I applaud you for what you're doing and congratulate you on your success in doing so. So
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Likewise, thank you for being on here, Shelby, and see you again soon.
All right.